Well, also I find that a lot of guys who identify as male feminists, what happened for a lot of them is they had rough childhoods and they were rejected by women. So they become this like savior of women from all these other asshole-ish men.
Right.
And so they become the guy that's different.
But they're womanizers, yeah.
Well, it's not even that they're womanizers. What they are is they're just a guy. But they're a weak guy, and they're suffering from the trauma of, like, I have a friend, it's not a friend anymore, but I had a friend when I was younger who had, he wasn't an attractive guy, and he would have real issues with women not liking him. He would get so upset. And he started, over the course of the 6 or 7 years that I knew him, he started associating women with pain. Like, they would reject him and they would be mean to him, and he was going to all the wrong places, like going to, like, you know, hot spots and getting bottle service, and you know, and that was the type of people he was attracting. And so they just wanted to have his drinks and not want to have sex with him. And he would associate women with pain and frustration and rejection. And so he started becoming this angry guy. And I watched this sort of metamorphosis, and I was trying to analyze it, like, you know, I was trying to do like the Louis Leakey anthropology thing and try to figure out what the fuck is causing this stress and pain and anger. And it's just purely an association game. It's like how some people start looking at Hollywood, like, Hollywood's all bullshit, man.
Right.
I'm tired as fuck. Why? Well, because you keep going to auditions and they keep turning you down.
Right.
And so you just decide, well, fuck this place, man. This place is fake. But meanwhile, if you got scooped up when you're 20 years old and rocketed into the you would love this place. You would be the guy at the red carpet. You would be like the toast of the town. You'd be so happy. And so I think a lot of these guys that identify as male feminists, I think they're just pussies. And what happened is, when they were young, they got walked over, they got trampled, and they're trying to figure out what is the pattern of behavior that I have to follow for me to separate myself from these men that have ruined these girls' lives. I know, I'll offer myself up as the solution. You know, as a feminist, I just feel like you've just really been fucked over.
Well, but I mean, there's a couple things. I run into the other guys who, Crimmins has a term, feminizers, who are acting all sensitive but still pulling mad wool. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, it's like, I understand.
Fakery.
It's like, you're the same guy.
You're the same guy.
You're the same
You got
dude.
a different hustle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the feminizers.
Oh, yeah, man.
And, but, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, feminists, it's you know, basic human rights. I'm all for that.
Yeah, of course. The problem is the definition is weighted.
And those guys who I question their integrity.
Yes. Well, men are very difficult in that regard. It's very difficult while they're sexually viable, because they're looking for attention, they're trying to score. And when they're trying to score, they try any sort of combination of words that might be possible. Like, I met this one guy, he said he's a feminist, and then he told me he's polyamorous. I go, oh, you're a pussy hound. You're a pussy hound.
Yeah.
I don't want to control my woman. I don't want to, I respect her pleasure, her right to seek pleasure. Like, oh, you fucker. I see what you're doing. I respect her, man.
I think, I mean, I don't know when.
First of all, when did men start becoming feminists? Was it Alan Alda? Did he pull that shit first?
No, I think it's. But you know, the early '70s, '60s.
They started saying it.
I mean, I'm sure like Warren Beatty was, even though
Was he?
I guarantee you he was.
But he was such a pussy hound.
I
How
know.
is that possible?
I know. I guarantee you he was.
Maybe. I think, you know, people don't like the term egalitarian. They think it's a cop-out. Like, oh, no. If you really cared about women's rights, you'd identify yourself as a feminist. Like, no, I like humans. I like all of them. I like nice women. I like nice men. I like people that are fun to be around.
Obviously major things. You know, the pay gap is a real.
Pay gap is tricky. You ever look into that? It's a lot of political bullshit.
Yeah.
The actual reality pay gap, it's very minor. There's only a few jobs where women actually do get paid less than men. What the pay gap is overall judging how much money women make versus how much money men make, and not taking into account what jobs they do, what jobs men tend to gravitate towards naturally versus what jobs women tend to gravitate towards naturally. But when they're in the same job with the same sort of production, their actual pay scale is very similar. it's real tricky, man, because you can't deny that some people that are a certain gender, they gravitate towards certain occupations. And those occupations might have higher risk. They might have higher pay ceilings. There's a lot of variables. And then you have to take into account women taking time off for raising children, for being pregnant, all those things, having babies, maternity leave. That all gets factored in when you're talking about how much time or how much money people actually make. So if you say women should and they should get X amount of money from a corporation, then you're dealing with a totally different argument. And if you do that, then the pay scale changes. Then it goes up a little bit. And if you say, well, everybody should get paid for the same exact money for the same job, even still, more men want to do certain jobs in engineering and science. And then when it comes to like really dangerous jobs, you know, men are much more likely to die on the job. Men are much more likely to be murdered by other men. There's like a lot of weird shit that has to get factored in when you talk about pay scales.
Yeah.
And apparently it's one of those political things where people say it and then I say it and then someone corrected me on it. And then I said, but I heard Obama say it. Because Obama was talking about the glass ceiling and how much money and the disparity in income. And then I started actually looking into it. I went, oh, okay. This is complicated. Because it's one of those things where you don't want to be insensitive. So you don't want to say, that's bullshit. Women don't get paid any less than men do. But when you actually do look at the real numbers, that's where they're getting it from. It's not like there's 100 lawyers.
Okay, let's use an example about in showbiz, because there is a big difference in actresses and actors' pays.
Are there?
Your top actors.
Well, the people that can sell the most tickets
Sure.
get the most money. Like Jennifer Lawrence gets paid shit piles of money. And there was that thing where she was saying that she was upset that she didn't get as much
Right.
money as Bradley Cooper. But Bradley Cooper was in way more scenes than her. He was in way more of the movie. And he was a bigger star at the time. It's real tricky. Because if Jennifer Lawrence was in a movie with you, she'd get paid way more than you.
Well, that's.
But you know what I'm saying? Or
that's
me,
a bad
or-
example.
it's a bad example, but-
I'd probably pull more money, but
But you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like if someone is a huge
Sure.
superstar, what's her name from Friends? Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston in her prime, you know, or the Matt and Mike and Molly guy. What's the girl's name? Melissa McCarthy. Yeah. You don't think she makes more than him? Of course she does. She's more popular. She's more famous. She does these giant movies. She gets paid tons of money. Amy Schumer gets paid tons of money.